Hi, I almost forgot I was doing a 90-day live challenge, so I've just zoomed on and I'm going to talk about something I can talk loads about. And I've been on a bit of a roll with sharing about this aura transformation work I do, so I'm actually going to go through exactly what happened to me after my aura transformation. So I like the hours after. Hi Mum. How's Switzerland? How's the weather in Switzerland, Mum? It's not so cold here. So I'm going to talk about exactly what happened straight after my aura transformation. So starting, like immediately afterwards, and then the weeks following and the months following. And it shouldn't take too long, but I'll just give out the main points that I noticed. And obviously aura transformation is different for everyone. So everyone reacts slightly differently. So this is just my journey. And I'll also share why I think certain things happened, or how an aura transformation would make that work. And so I went to London to have my aura transformation, and I'd heard about it and I knew instantly, I need this is exactly what I need. I knew I had low energy, sunny and cold. I saw the pictures you sent before, put online, they're really beautiful. So there were dragons in the sky. So I go to London to have my aura transformation. I arrive and I'm very excited. I'm probably floating outside my body away with the fairies. I'm that excited. I think the aura mediator at the time was just whoa, you need to chill out a bit before we start. And the funny thing that happened to me on my way to my aura transformation is that I was in Wales visiting friends, and the train left the station in middle of nowhere in Wales, started on its way to London, and then after half an hour went back to Wales. And that is just so typical of just before an aura transformation, that there's loads of resistance. I have all sorts of weird stuff happen to people, so that they're either really late or can't turn up for their aura transformation on time. There's so many things car problems, or a stinking cold or something. So that was the beginning. So I was 3 hours late for my aura transformation to start with. And I kind of remember, I don't remember too much about the actual aura transformation itself. It was 5 years ago, almost to the day. And I know that when I left where I was in Kensington to go stay with an old school friend, I was kind of trying to catch myself, what's actually different, and trying to look at my arm, and then wasn't really sure what had happened and what was different yet. And that's kind of typical. You can't expect it to all be different and not be at home, so you're not living your daily life, and so you don't know what's different yet. And the next day, so I was pretty excited about the whole thing, and I realized that people were staring at me a lot in the tube. So I wasn't sure what that was about. Did I have something on my face? I don't know. The next day, or 2 days later, I had my balancing, and because I had to get home to Lancaster. And the balancing, I can't remember that either, to be honest, right now. But I know that after the balancing, and I was on the tube, there was about 3 separate people trying to have a chat with me, oh, where have you been, and what's in your bag, shopping bag. And I was this is just really odd. On the underground, people attracted to actually having conversations and smiling. So I had fun and just told them about aura transformation, shocked faces and everything. So already there was some inkling that something was different, because people don't usually talk to you on the tube in London. I don't know if anyone else is in different cities. The underground and the tube is not usually a very talkative place. So I get home to Lancaster and I'm what is different? And actually I remember in the train, I'm looking out the window and just going oh my God, I don't have all them negative thought patterns. That is so mega. What is going on? It felt so quiet, mentally quiet. I'm looking out of a window, and nothing but looking out of a window is going on in my head, which was unbelievable, because I'd had so much mental chatter, the monkey mind thing, all the time, always this non-stop chatter. And that shifted. So I was just in shock, and it lasted and lasted and lasted. So that was one of the big first things I noticed was, oh my God, the mental chatter. And if we were to go into the theory of aura transformation and how it works, is that your old aura that we dissolve in an aura transformation is plugged into the collective consciousness. So a lot of the mental chatter might not even be your own. And I knew that the mental chatter that I was very, very pleased to be rid of was the ancestral imprint of like low self-esteem. And so it's like, I think lots of women have it, and possibly men, that a lot of mental chatter isn't very friendly and it's not very kind, and it's like having this mean voice in your head. And I think that that isn't you. That's not your spirit or your blueprint, or it's not. This is something we've inherited. It's something that's like, it could be partly from the media, or it could be from growing up. But I think a lot of the voices we carry are ancestral, passed down from generations and generations. And as women, there's been so much oppression for thousands of years. We have that within us, you know, that we can't make it like a man, or that in our history, so let's say our grandmothers and great-great-grandmothers and great-great-grandmothers, they maybe weren't able to fulfill their purpose or fulfill their dreams or to fulfill their wishes, and maybe they even gave up on some of, you know, what they wanted to do with their life to fulfill the role as a woman. So I think a lot of my negative mental chatter was actually partly from that kind of pattern, those kind of ancestral. Oh, thank you, Yana. It's so, I love watching your lives too. You're very inspiring for me. And I can't wait to meet up when you're back from South Africa. So there's like these negative thought patterns are often not your spirit, the love in your heart. It's not that speaking in your head. It's collective. So from outside, from the collective noise, everyone's mental chatter, from the media and that kind of societal plugins, if you like, and then the ancestral imprints, which doesn't mean necessarily your instant grandmother or, you know, mum, like could go further back. And I think we inherit sort of like the ancestry of our species plays out in our head as well. And there's so much trauma and so much pain in our histories that it comes out in our cells and in our minds. So I'm sitting on the train, I've come back from my aura transformation, and I'm like, oh my God, like it's all gone, it's quiet, you know, this eerie silence. And at first you're like, whoa, this is crazy. But, you know, like now, 5 years down the line, you know, my thought patterns are nothing like they used to be. And they're certainly not mean and judgmental and just going on and on. They're really, what's the word I'm looking for? Dharma. Like they're all about, rather than karmic stuff, it's about my purpose, about where to move forward, what's interesting, how to make an impact. It's like, what's the next steps? That's the kind of thought patterns I'm having. They're like forward looking, and they're useful. Mostly useful. So that's been a great relief, and a lasting one. And it doesn't happen for everyone that suddenly they don't have all their negative thought patterns, because maybe it wasn't, and maybe they are ancestral based, maybe they're not collective based, maybe the negative thought patterns are just your mind has been built, like the muscle of your mind is so used to doing it that it's just going to keep doing it. So then there is some inner work to do, and then, you know, there are plenty of people and tools so that you can start working on changing the way your thought patterns work. So it's not it's not a lost cause or anything. My fringe is being annoying. What else happened? I've got a little list because there's a few things that I wanted to make sure I get in the right order, because I can go off in all these tangents, which I just did. So my negative thought patterns were they induced so much low self-esteem that it stopped me being creative. It got me into the wrong relationships. It just stopped me acting. I was procrastinating because the low self-esteem, when you don't feel good about yourself, you stop yourself doing anything good. It's like, oh, what's the point? And no. And I remember waking up in the mornings going like, oh God, like Groundhog Day, and like can't face the day. And it was just this like collection of patterns and vibrations and energies that are playing off in my mind. And so that was such a relief to let go of those. And that made a huge difference to how my face looked. You know, if you look at the before and after photos I posted the other day, you can tell that, you know, I'm not suffering in the same way as I used to. So having mental freedom is a great plus point of the aura transformation. Another thing I remember doing, and I can't remember exactly when, you know, in the first few weeks, maybe first few days, I remember looking at my hands and just being like, whoa, like I'm in my body. And I used to feel my higher self, because I used to kind of be looking at all this stuff anyway. I could feel my higher self was somewhere like floating above somewhere, like on a string or something. And I could feel her and sometimes have a chat and meditate long enough and have a connection to that. And I just knew it was somewhere above. And then now she, or yeah, I think mine is a she, is in my body, looking out of my eyes, looking at you right now, in my hands, in my feet, touching the earth. And I could really feel that there was this very distinct shift, very, very different feeling in my body, and certainly in just that. I really remember looking at my hands. I don't know if anyone ever looked at lucid dreaming and is that the word yeah, lucid dreaming, when you learn to look at your hands in the dream just to check if you're dreaming or not, because you don't know if you're awake or not. And I remember just that feeling of being so lucid but awake, and looking at my hands and knowing that all of me, including my higher self, is in my body. And it feels pretty amazing. I just said amazing, guys. That was awesome, being in my body. And I really feel that when I look at the photos myself, I can see that I'm so much more present, like visually. And I don't know, I can feel it. And certainly when I actually look at other people that have had an aura transformation, and that's what happens during an aura transformation, is we're drawing your higher self into your body. And then the next year and a half, we call it crystallizing, so that you crystallize your higher self in every cell in your body. And that's the magic of it. Anyway, I'm kind of going off on so many tangents. What happened next? I've written on my list. When I got home off the train, I get home and I was kind of a hoarder, like not in the TV kind of hoarder way, but like all eventualities, all creative projects, every book I might ever need, everything collected, you know. And when I moved from Wales back up to Lancaster, I had like an Arctic truck of stuff. And when I moved to like here, I had like only two small vans, like small. So that's like a huge shift in the amount of stuff I have. And that was a huge part of having the aura transformation. Woohoo! Thanks, dude. I'm not going to try and say that because it looks like a tongue twister. And so because you're not if you dissolve your old aura with all its attachments and emotions that you've carried all your life, and your stuff is almost like a mirror to what you are carrying within you. And if you have an aura transformation, you're dissolving all those attachments to all those things. And you have a chance to kind of start fresh, start again. So I just went into my house and there was all these things that, you know, you kind of go blind to, that you've got piled. Okay, I know my mum's thinking she has piles in her house. I can see one that's been here for a while. But I had things like, I remember things on the stairs on the way up to the second floor, and I instantly cleared them up and emptied stuff out and sorted it out and fixed it up. And I think within a few months, I'd got rid of about 2 houses worth of stuff. Like, I was like, okay, I don't need these things. And then the things that I'd held on to, that I, like, for example, clothes I'd never worn, but they were like an archive of my life. I was like, I really don't need this anymore. And there were certain memories I could let go of. It was just an amazing, energetic, mental, and actually physically clearing out a lot of stuff. And I also, that energy, you know, I said the low self-esteem kind of thing, meant that I didn't do the things I need to do to move forward. So if I had like an idea of something I'd like to do, like I had all sorts of projects at different points, like I almost started a raw chocolate company, that kind of thing. There was always so many things in the way of getting it done, and I kept procrastinating about them, that the big actions didn't happen. So like doing my paperwork, or I can't even think right now what examples, but I got back from London, and I'm still on like a few hours after arriving back from London, and I've actually, you know, cleared the piles of things on the stairs. I've started chucking stuff out, and when people have an aura transformation, there's 2 ways about it. You either go to sleep a lot for the first few weeks, or you don't sleep a lot. And I was one of those that did not sleep a lot. And I think the way I see that now, after doing hundreds and hundreds of these, is that my higher self had been backed up, like all of the action I could have taken in my life, all the power and impact that my being wants to create on the world, in the world, couldn't do it. It was so backed up that it all came whooshing in, and I had no, there was nothing else I could do but to just act and make things happen. Mummy. Yeah, everything that was in the way of me making the impact and being the person I'm supposed to be all just came in like, whew. And the sleep, I just didn't do much sleeping the first few nights. I actually started worrying a bit after the third night. I was like, so will I ever sleep again? Will I ever need to sleep again? I kind of like sleeping. I did ask around a bit, and people were like, well, you just need a bit less sleep, you know, when you're a crystal, we call it ourselves crystal people, crystal auras. I was like, okay. So instead of lying there just thinking about stuff, I just, I went down to the kitchen and I cleared all the kitchen cupboards out at 4 in the morning. I did all my paperwork for the year. I just did loads and loads and loads and loads of stuff that would get me in a position, like clear the decks and get all the old clunky stuff that's in my way sorted out. So it was just like epic sort. And then, so that's like day 3. Day 3, unstoppable. What did I do? Oh no, day 6, I would say. Isla noticed my daughter. She's 10. She was 6 at the time, I think. And so, you know, Isla comes home from school. She's not going to notice anything for a few days. You know, she's like, oh, there's my mum. Carries on doing her thing. On day, like my day 6, she's like, Mummy, and she starts stroking my face, and she's like, oh, you know, like, I can't remember the words, but it was almost like, you're here, you know? And I think she meant, like, my higher self, like, my whole being was there. I wasn't procrastinating, irritable, distracted, not present, running around. What is going on with my fringe? Let me sort it out. It's annoying me. Where does that go? Oh, well. No, that doesn't work either. Okay. So Isla was very, she really did notice that something was different, and she started actually being less grown up and acting more like a child herself. And I had these amazing dreams where Ida and I meet in a field, and she's like, I've been waiting for you. Where have you been? And it was this amazing moment of our spirits meeting, and it hasn't changed since. And there was like, when you have an aura that's like leaky and full of crap and cloudy and all this stuff in the way that's weighing you down and making you feel crap, you can't really see through it very well. You know, you got the crap tinted lenses, and your kids can't see you very well. I mean, yes, they love you and they know you're there and you love them, but there's all this stuff in the way, and they often react to that as well. They mirror it. If your kids are maybe misbehaving, they're actually probably copying what you're pretending isn't there. So all this stuff came out of the way, and then there's just me and Isla, like, seeing each other, and it was just amazing, and it was brilliant. And it really had an amazing impact on her as well, I think, just having me like that, and other family members doing it too. And she actually wrote these really, really cute, I'm gonna have to find them, these little PowerPoints about how AuraTransformation changed our life. And you know, she actually has become, because of the way I talk about stuff, she's very sensitive to people's energy, and she'll be like, I think that person really needs an AuraTransformation. Or she might say, he's not ready for an AuraTransformation. So she's a great judge of character in that way. And so that was day 6 of my AuraTransformation 5 years ago. And what else happened then? So this is the bit, this is what the bit now is, where I was musing today about what I should share or what was coming up for me. And it was me remembering I call it the emotional detox after an AuraTransformation. So AuraTransformation is not a cheat. You're not cheating your life lessons. You're not cheating your karmic lessons. We're not just waving a magic wand and then you're like, that's it, I'm done. You know, this is just helping you be able to process stuff. I'm just gonna like delete people. There we go. Where was I? I get so easily distracted on this thing. What was I talking about? I've forgotten now. Whoa, mind blank. Oh, the emotional detox. Okay, so, and not a magic wand. So when you dissolve the old aura, great. It's so much lighter and there's so much less that you're carrying. But the stuff that your spirit or you've come to learn on planet Earth is still going to be there, but it's just much easier to reach. And it's like a, what's the word? When you, like, fast track, if you like, but you're still learning the lessons, so it's not cheating. And for me, some of the big ones that came up was, number one, I thought, my AuraTransformation is not working because after about 3 weeks, I was feeling like I don't feel good. And there's this old stuff, like old postnatal patterns. I dealt with that and it's coming up. And why would it be coming up now? And I've learned through understanding it that the old patterns, they have to go somewhere. So your higher self, your new energy is coming in. The old stuff has to come out and you have to understand it and learn it and feel it. So all this stuff's coming up, like I'm feeling the postnatally stuff and I'm like, oh no, if that starts, then that's like 3 months of feeling awful and not really here. I don't want that to happen. And then something clicked. I was like, okay, you know what to do, you know how to process stuff. So I started looking at it and then I realized that I'm processing from a completely different angle. I'm not inside, you know, like the mind box. I'm not inside the painful stuff that weighs me down. I'm like looking above it somehow. And this is that when you hear people talking about dimensions, and the old aura is the 3rd dimension and then new aura is 5th dimension. So all it's saying is you have a different perspective. You have a wider view. You're not inside the pain. You're looking kind of at your life story. And I was able to look at all the things that created postnatal type feelings in me. Look at that, me getting distracted again. The postnatal feelings and all the patterns that come from, I was able to look at it from a different angle. And during an AuraTransformation, the heart chakra expands. So having this wider heart chakra meant that I had a far more compassion and understanding for me that had been postnatal and for all the people that were in the story. And I was able, from that place, that perspective, to actually do real forgiveness for really deep wounds and really painful situations in my life. So suddenly this it was like freedom from the pain of it. And instead of the postnatal pattern lasting 3 months, it was 3 hours. 3 hours. And that story, the door was closed. I'd figured out the energy puzzle, which was like, wow, okay. So now I'm getting that the AuraTransformation did work. It just takes its time and it's not always like, woohoo, for the first few months. We call it the period of grace, where things like emotional detox, you know, stuff coming up to go. It's going for a final showdown. It's saying goodbye. That's it. So just acknowledging it, not push it down, suppress it and ignore it. It's like, write it down, look at it, feel it, own it, whatever it is you need to do. That's like another conversation. And then there was another pattern that came up for me, which was, what's it? It was like a sensation of black tar in the air around me, stuck, heavy, like a city of smoke on my back, above, on my back. And there's a tool that we teach with the AuraTransformation I won't go into now. But it was basically, this black tar was every single word and judgment and feeling and thought I thought that other people projected onto me. And they probably did, but I chose to carry it. And it built up and built up and built up on my back until it weighed me down. And then I had the low self-esteem, the feeling like a fraud or something. Just really worried about outside stuff, people out there, what they thought of me and all that. This is years ago, but it was years of people's perceived perceptions of me. If you're sensitive and you feel people's body language and energy, and like I'm too sensitive, I feel it all, see it all, and then you own it, you're owning other people's stuff, it's just not healthy and not necessary. But I had piled up so much of it, that it was weighing me down. And I felt it really horribly after a couple of months of I think it must have been a month in of my aura transformation. And I was like, oh, what's going on? And I realized I had to really, really, really give back all this energy to wherever it come from. It doesn't matter where. But I kind of like actively was like, I'm pushing it away. I'm dissolving it. And really let it just evaporate off me. And it took a while. It took a good go. This is like warrior power. Like, this is not staying on me. But it was so amazing to actually realize that ill feeling, what it was and what it felt like, and giving it a color and a name and moving it away. And that was just another big, massive step into freedom for me. And very grateful that I could actually perceive and feel what is not mine, what is not my vibration, what is not my essence, what is not my blueprint, which is not my DNA. Like, F off. And that's why I feel like bright and clear. And I can actually, now having this new aura means that I can feel, this took a while, not instantly, but the more and more I do the tools and the more and more I feel the energy move away, it's like, what do you call it? It's like I can feel it splat. Someone else's energy splats on my energy field. And I'm like, it's not mine. I don't want it. And let it go. And before, I had such a leaky aura that everyone's energy would just go in. And then it'd be mine or not mine. And my moods would be shifting and changing all the time. So it's a really powerful, aura transformation is a very powerful way of sifting through a lifetimes of energy. Yeah. Wow. And another part of that was that before my aura transformation, I was having to do constant self-care. And if I didn't, I felt awful. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm just popping away for like 20 minutes and just do like some energy healing on me. And I was opening and closing chakras all the time. It was just like completely volatile and really hard to work with because I had such a leaky aura, or damaged or frazzled or whatever you want to call perforated energy field. And having the new aura with the aura transformation means I didn't have to do the self-care every day in that way. That was another sense of freedom, was like, oh, Ray, you know, if you have a broken leg, you go and get it set by the leg doctor, you know, the bone doctors in the hospital. But, you know, if you have a leaky, broken aura, who are you going to go to? Aura transformers. Where am I now? I'm so glad I did a list. Yeah. So, after this couple of months of emotional detox, I mean, the benefits I was feeling every day. I could feel the change was amazing. The thought patterns, all that going, the not having to do the self-care, the letting go of forgiveness, all that. Some of it's a bit difficult, but the benefits were like, yes, this is so amazing and exciting. And then once I cleared the decks and all this major stuff was, you know, cleared, suddenly, you know, my passion, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life before aura transformation. I mean, the minute I heard about aura transformation, I was like, that is what I'm supposed to be doing. That's me. Suddenly I was able to focus, like total focus, quick fire, rapid decision making, just making things happen. Bash, 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 bash. Okay, in hindsight, it probably wasn't physically balanced in that it was long night, you know, some long nights, it was really just going for it, but my energy felt boundless, so it didn't feel wrong at the time. But now looking back, I'm like, okay, well, it's not sustainable to push yourself that hard. But I had the energy at the beginning, and that is exciting, you know. And I'm not feeling like, when you feel energetically clear, I don't know if I guess it's the sensation for some people of flow, like pure flow, when time stops, you just don't care about anything else, you know, you're just so focused on what you're doing. But this is having that all the time, and that sensation of having just meditated all the time. It's just very present and awake to what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be doing it, and you just know, yes, no, yes, no. And if you've got all that, if you've been watching since the beginning, there's the negative thought patterns, the collective thought, you know, the jumbled mind, all those different influences that make for a monkey mind. If that's cleared off, all you're hearing is your inner wisdom, your intuition, or your higher self, whatever you want to call that. That's all you hear. It's just you going, yes, no, in your head, which is brilliant, because before it was like 200 different, I can't make decisions with all this noise, you know? So within I knew I was going to train, and I had just made it in time to book in for the training 2 months, like to the day of my aura transformation. And so that's quite quick, you know, it's doable, but you're supposed to have 2 months between aura transformation and training. So I managed to get into the training, and it was brilliant, and I didn't have any money at the time. I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to pay for this, but I have to do it. And because my resolve, and I knew this is going to have to happen, this is what I am going to be doing. And I'm not joking, money came out of the most random places, and I sold some stuff and made it happen. And within like a week of training, I had a website. A couple of weeks later, I was doing more training with Annie Senov in Finland. 2 weeks after that, I introduced it in South Africa. I've been 7 times since then. I've been up and down the country, I don't know how many times. I've done like hundreds of talks. I've just like, whoa. And it was just like bang, 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 bang. No looking back. So for me, it was absolutely life-changing. I didn't even mention what I was like really before. I was already looking into the esoteric stuff. I'd fallen down the stairs. I'd left the party scene. I wasn't sure which direction I was going. I'd been working for Oxfam. There was all this, you know, stuff, and I didn't know which way I was going. And it all just fell into place like an amazing puzzle for me after my aura transformation. And I remember, sorry to mention you again, Mum, that when my mum first saw me, it was about 2 months after my aura transformation, she actually, you know, teared up because she could see that I just seemed so much happier in my own skin and so much more present and like sparkly eyed. So I probably hadn't shifted it like you'd see in those photos completely, but there was definitely something else about me. And because I'd been from old Sarah to new Sarah in Lancaster, people saw, you know, 16 years of all the different ways my life had gone in Lancaster. And then they saw the new Sarah. There was a lot of people that were like, something's going on, and she's not talking complete rubbish. There was all the naysayers, but hey, there's always some of them. But there was just definitely, you know, it was amazing to have that recognition from my community at the time that Sarah's shifting and it's visible. Aura transformation can be very visible. And that's been a challenge, moving to Devon and people not seeing, you know, my transformation. I noticed that that's made it different to talk to people about what aura transformation is. I think that's it though, guys. I've said pretty much what I want to say about after aura transformation. And 5 years down the line, I can still feel it and people still see it on me. I know they do. Children still stare at me and go like, wow. And, you know, I remember really cute once a child, because children do stare at people that have aura transformations because they've got like a childlike clear aura. And I imagine to little children, you know, like babies and tiny toddlers, that adults look kind of grey, grey and misty. And then you've got a crystal person, they look like very sparkly. And I remember a little child coming up to me in a supermarket and going, "Are you a fairy?" It was brilliant. And it's happened more than once. And even babies that can't talk, they stare as well. So, and I know I'm not alone in post-aura transformation children staring. So, what else? I'm going to make just a couple of little announcements. I'm in Lancaster in February, probably just for a couple of days. People have already started asking to be on the list, so I thought I'd announce it and tell people on Facebook to start telling me if they want to see me, because it books up so fast and I'm not going to be there that long. And the other thing is that the aura mediator, like if you want to train to do aura transformation, even if you don't want to do sessions on people and it's just about you becoming even more embodied and more clear and more in your truth, then it's an amazing thing to do and to shift, because you have another, it's almost like having another aura transformation, another 4-hour personal session before the course starts. So it's like another big shift on a personal level. And that's in January. I'm not going to make up the dates. In the 25th? I can't remember. I'll write it down. I'll put it in the comments. So the training, and that means you have to have an aura transformation ASAP if you want to get into the training course. And it's with Sue Jonas Dupuis. She's coming from France to do it. And another little announcement is that Isla and I are doing our Friday night live, and it's going to be about single mums dating. It's so exciting. We're very excited about sharing it. Yeah, so she has some opinions about that. So thanks for listening. I don't know how long I've been talking. Ask me any questions, message me. So much love.